Hello, classmates and Dr. Hall. Today I am teaching on using graphic organizers to assess. Disclaimer, I have paraphrased from the authors cited. I have cited them in my references. I do not claim any of the information. It is all from my sources. First of all, a diagnostic assessment. Number 1, what is a graphic organizer? And what purposes can it serve? I will explain what a graphic organizer is in the next slide. However, throughout all of the researching, I have found some examples that say that graphic organizers can assess, and some resources that say graphic organizers cannot assess. So throughout this presentation, I will show you that graphic organizers do a wonderful job to assess. First, what is a graphic organizer? As said by Butler and McMunn, graphic organizers are mental maps that represent key skills like sequencing, comparing and contrasting, classifying, and involving students in active thinking. They analyze and develop student understanding of concepts. They diagnose student preconceptions or misconceptions about concepts, and they assess whether students understand relationships within content. You will see here, this is an example of a Venn diagram. It is one of the graphic organizers that I will be talking about. A formative assessment. Why would I use a Venn diagram? To classify, meaning organizing. To compare and contrast, meaning to show what is similar and what is different about two concepts. C, to sequence, or D, I have no idea. Remember in the previous slide, we looked at a Venn diagram. I'm sure you all have seen them in your own schooling and in your teaching. I would like you all to give me just a guess about what you think Venn diagrams can be used for. Next, compare and contrast Venn diagrams. So if you guessed compare and contrast with that last question, you are correct. Compare and contrast lessons include concepts. They allow teachers and students to assess student understanding during the instruction. Teachers should devise assessments that differentiate between naive and advanced learners on conceptual ideas. Lastly, when two pieces are contrasted, classroom discussions tend to become deeper and more comprehensive as teachers lead students to compare and contrast. As you all know, compare and contrast is a part of higher order thinking. When you have a concept that you would like to test through higher order reasoning skills, you could use a compare and contrast Venn diagram to assist with this process. Next, connecting and relating through concept mapping. Linking words connect concepts. This is an example of a linking word that would connect this to this. Linking words are expressions of the mapper's knowledge of relation. Relation knowledge is connected to problem-solving ability. They have to use their problem-solving skills to figure out what goes in from here to here to here. There are a few words that would fit in the middle, a few select words that would fit in the middle, that would be able to connect these two ideas. When I say relation knowledge, I mean the relationships between the boxes that are connected. Concept mapping facilitates study for when the learner reflects on the linking word. When you have one or two linking words, the student's answer will need to be precise and accurate. Not everything can go in this middle box. There are a few select words that connect this word to this word. Another formative assessment. What is one use for concept mapping? This is a free response. You could go back in your notes. You could just skip this page if you're not wanting to assess at the moment. But yeah, anyways, it's a topic that I just talked about. It connects words, it shows relationships, and it makes students practice their problem-solving skills. Okay? Next, define through the Frayer Model. In the next slide, I have a picture of it. I just couldn't get it to fit on this slide. It was developed to analyze and assess attainment of concepts. It consists of a graphic organizer divided into 4 components for recording information related to the concepts. It is important to include non-examples so students understand what the concept word is not. In the article that I read that discussed the Frayer Model, 15 out of the 23 students said that they found the Frayer Model to be a strategy that they would use for diagnostic and summative assessments. As I said, here's a picture of the Frayer Model. As you'll notice, definition, characteristics, examples, and non-examples, as well as the concept that you are assessing your student. Next, Tchart. You would use Tcharts to contrast items. To assess, students made a Tchart to contrast the differences between physical change and chemical change. Students also made Tcharts to contrast the difference between an element in a compound. When students create Tcharts, it shows their level of understanding, which is unavailable through some other assessment methods. And here is an example of a lovely Tchart that I drew. A formative assessment. What would you use a Tchart for? A, to compare and contrast. B, just to contrast, meaning list differences. C, to sequence or order. Or D, to define. I'll give you a few seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is just to contrast, meaning list differences. Last one, timeline. You would use timelines to sequence. This article noticed that students have a difficult time sequencing event, and that students have a difficult time identifying themes and significances of the events. Timelines can assess the following: the events themselves, structures and themes of the era, knowledge and relationships between historical phenomena, temporal relations, causal relations, and knowledge of concepts used to describe phenomena and relations. Okay, another formative assessment. What purpose do timelines serve? A, showing events. B, showing relationships within events. C, assessing knowledge of concepts connecting events. D, all of the above. I will give you a few seconds to think about this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is D, all of the above. Okay, the last thing to wrap it up. The last thing I will assess. This is a summative assessment. There were 5 types of graphic organizers that I've discussed. I gave you, throughout the presentation, I gave you keywords, best practices, suggestions. Each of the graphic organizers assesses one thing well. Now, I am giving you all a table, and you will put each of these 5 purposes next to the one that you think it best describes. All right, here's my references. I hope you all learned a lot. And we'll use graphic organizers to assess in the future. The majority of the graphic organizers I did draw by myself. So they do look a little strange, but that is to show you that you yourself can make graphic organizers for your own classroom in the future. So yeah, thanks. Anyways, here are my references. Have a good day, guys. Bye.